Hey everyone, and welcome to a deep dive into something I think we all think about, especially as we get a little older, and that's making sure we have enough money to actually enjoy retirement.
Absolutely.
Those retirement years everyone dreams about.
Yeah.
And we're really diving deep today into your research on making those retirement savings last, even if, get this, you live to 100.
Wow.
You've been digging into the book Retirement Income for Life. And
Great book.
honestly, even just that title, I mean, who doesn't want retirement income for life? But I think it's more than that, right?
Yeah.
We don't want to just scrape by.
Right.
We want to actually enjoy it.
Yeah.
So how do we make those retirement years truly golden without, constantly being glued to our bank accounts?
Yeah. And that's the thing that's interesting you bring that up, because the book quickly points out that a lot of people, once they hit retirement, they actually end up underspending.
Oh, really?
They're so worried about outliving their savings that they're hesitant to actually use the money they've worked so hard to save.
Wow. It's like having that stack of vacation days you never let yourself use because you're saving them for like the perfect someday.
Exactly. And then, someday never actually comes, or you don't end up enjoying it as much because you're so used to holding back.
That's such a good point. So we're so busy, saving and accumulating all this wealth that we forget to plan on how to actually decumulate it, I guess.
It's the decumulation phase, and it's just as important, if not more so, than the accumulation phase.
And it makes sense why people are afraid, right? Especially these days with inflation being what it is.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, who could forget that jump to 8% we saw here in Canada last year? That's not insignificant.
No, it's a big deal. And it really highlights how unpredictable things can be, which just adds to the anxiety around retirement planning.
Yeah, for sure. So the book uses this couple, the Thompsons, as a case study throughout the book.
Yeah, they're great.
And what I love is, they're not millionaires or anything. It's like looking at, our next door neighbors or something.
That makes it very relatable.
Exactly. And they're starting off just like a lot of people do, thinking that the 4% withdrawal rule is, the be all and end all.
Right, the magic solution. You withdraw 4% of your savings each year, adjust for inflation, and you're golden.
Oh, yeah, sounds good in theory.
Right. But here's where it gets interesting. The book takes their situation, applies the rule, and shows how, with the current economic climate we're in, especially projections for lower long-term returns, that 4% might not actually cut it.
Oh, okay. So, not to be a downer, but it sounds like maybe the 4% rule isn't so safe after all.
Well, it might need some tweaking, some enhancements, and that's what we're going to dive into. The book lays out some really practical strategies.
I like the sound of that. And enhancements, like power-ups for our retirement plan.
Yeah.
Let's do it. Okay, enhancements it is. Let's unlock those retirement power-ups. What's the first one we're looking at?
Well, the first one might seem a little, maybe not as exciting as some of the others. We're talking about fees. Yeah, specifically reducing those pesky investment fees.
Okay, yeah, I can see how that might not get everyone, super pumped up.
Right. It's not exactly like, jet setting around the world in retirement, but
But it's important.
it is absolutely crucial, and here's why. Even those seemingly tiny percentage points they charge you can make a huge difference over time, especially when you factor in compounding. It's not just about the money you're losing directly to fees, it's the potential growth that money could have had if it stayed invested.
It's like the silent killer of your retirement fund.
Exactly. And the book actually gives this really good example, comparing a 1.8% fee to a 0.6% fee, which might not seem like a huge difference, right?
No, not on the surface.
But guess what? Over time, we're talking potentially thousands of dollars less each year for you.
Thousands. Wow. Okay. Yeah, now you're talking my language.
It's huge. It's all about making your money work smarter, not harder. So fee reduction is like step one. Gotta optimize those returns.
Absolutely, yeah. Make sure every dollar is pulling its weight. All right, so fees are out. What's next on our enhancement hit list?
Enhancement number 2 throws people for a bit of a loop sometimes because it involves something most people want to do ASAP.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Tell me more.
It's about the Canada Pension Plan, or CPP.
CPP, got it. Everyone loves talking about CPP.
Right, and most people, their instinct is to start taking those payments as soon as they possibly can.
Makes sense. It's your money.
Exactly. But here's the thing. Delaying when you start taking your CPP can actually lead to a much bigger payout down the road.
Wait, really? So, waiting longer equals more money? I'm listening.
That's exactly it. And it's especially powerful when you combine it strategically with withdrawals from your RIF, your Registered Retirement Income Fund, You're essentially optimizing both income streams.
Okay, I can already hear some of our listeners pushing back on this one, like, what if I don't make it to, 70 or whatever?
Sure.
Isn't it better to, like, take the money now while I can still enjoy it? It's a valid fear.
It's completely understandable, but the book addresses this head on. The reality is, people are living longer now than ever before. And statistically speaking, you're much more likely to be around to need that guaranteed income stream later. And chances are you'll be pretty happy you made the choice to delay and have that extra cushion later on.
Yeah, nobody's ever complained about having too much money in retirement, right?
Exactly. It's all about playing the long game, maximizing your potential income. It might take a bit of patience up front, but it can really pay off in the long run.
Okay, I'm convinced. Delaying CPP, it is. So that's 2 enhancements down. What's next on our list?
All right, now this next one, I'll be honest, tends to get a bit of a bad rap sometimes.
Oh no, what is it?
Annuities.
Annuities.
Yeah, I know. People hear annuities and they kind of,
Yeah, they don't exactly have the best reputation.
They don't, but hear me out for a second because maybe we're thinking about them the wrong way.
Okay, convince me.
Instead of viewing an annuity as like an investment, think of it more like insurance, specifically longevity insurance.
Longevity insurance, that's a new one.
Right. What it does is it protects you from the risk of outliving your savings, which is a very real concern for a lot of people.
That makes sense. So it's like peace of mind, basically.
Exactly. Think of it like home insurance, right? You
Right.
hope you never have to use it.
Right.
But you're sure glad you have it if something bad happens, like a flood or a fire or, whatever.
Okay, that's a good analogy. So with an annuity, it's about having that safety net.
Exactly. No matter what curveballs life throws your way, or the market for that matter, you've got that guaranteed income stream coming in.
I like it. So how much of our savings are we talking about putting towards something like this? Like, is this an all-in situation or?
No, not at all. The book suggests maybe setting aside around 20% of your savings to purchase an annuity. That way you get that guaranteed income base, but you still have the flexibility to invest the rest and hopefully benefit from, market growth and all that good stuff.
So we've covered a lot of ground here. Less fees, delaying CPP, maybe even adding an annuity, all great stuff. But how do we take all this and personalize it,
Right, because everyone's situation is different.
Right, exactly. Like, I'm not the Thompsons, you're not the Thompsons. We need our own plan.
And the good news is, you don't have to figure it all out on your own. The book actually provides a really helpful tool for this. They call it PERC.
PERC.
Oh.
Okay, is it like an acronym or something? What is that?
It stands for Personalized Expense and Retirement Calculator.
Okay, so it does what it says on the tin.
Pretty much.
Mm.
But it's more than just a calculator. It's like, think of it as a personalized GPS for your retirement.
I like it, a retirement GPS.
Right, so instead of giving you generic directions, it takes all your specific information.
Okay.
Your age, your assets, your risk tolerance, how much income you want, all that, and it maps out a plan that's tailored just for you.
That's amazing. So no cookie cutter solutions here. It's all about customization,
Mhm.
which I love because retirement, it's not just about numbers.
No.
It's about your dreams.
Absolutely.
What do you actually want to do with this time?
Right.
You mentioned earlier you're thinking of maybe retiring a bit early, doing some traveling.
I am, yeah.
So would PRC take that kind of stuff into account?
Absolutely. It can factor in things like if you're planning to work part-time, if you have any major expenses coming up, even if you want to leave an inheritance.
It's like holistic retirement planning.
Exactly. So if travel is a big priority for you, PRC can help you figure out, okay, how can we make that happen financially without, derailing your long-term security?
Like having a personal retirement coach in your back pocket.
Exactly.
I love it. Now the book also talks about different retiree profiles, which I found really interesting. Like you have your super savers at one end and then your YOLOs, you only live once at the other. Do these principles apply no matter where you fall on that spectrum?
Absolutely. That's the beauty of it. It's really about understanding your own values and goals and finding what works best for you.
Because there's no one right way to retire.
Right. Exactly.
Now, we've talked a lot about the financial side of things, but the book doesn't shy away from the emotional stuff either, right?
Right. No, it definitely addresses that because it's a big part of it.
Huge. I mean, it can be kind of scary, this whole retirement thing.
Yeah.
You're making big decisions. There's a lot of unknowns.
Absolutely. And the book does a good job of kind of acknowledging those fears, those anxieties that a lot of people have.
One topic I found really interesting was the inheritance piece.
Yeah,
Like, it's not something we always want to talk about,
right.
but it's important. And the book doesn't tell you what to do,
No.
but it does make you think about, like, what are your priorities?
Exactly, because it's a very personal decision. Do you prioritize, maybe spending down your assets to really enjoy your retirement? Or is it more important to you to kind of preserve those assets to pass down to loved ones?
And sometimes we don't even realize how our own, like, mental hangups can affect our choices.
Yeah, our brains can be our own worst enemies sometimes.
Totally. Like, the book mentioned this thing called the framing effect,
Oh, yeah, it's fascinating.
which is basically, like, how a choice is presented to us can totally change our decision.
Even if the underlying options are actually the same.
It's so true.
Right.
Like, we might feel better about a guaranteed 3% return on an investment, even though rationally a potential 7% return, even with some risk, might be the better option in the long run.
Because our brains don't always think rationally when it comes to money, right?
Not at all. Well, I think
Yeah.
that's a good reminder to, be aware of those biases, those emotional things that might be influencing our decisions.
Absolutely. Self-awareness is key.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, what are some key things you hope our listener is taking away from all of this?
I think the biggest takeaway is that a secure and enjoyable retirement is possible. It's not some far-fetched dream, even with all the uncertainty in the world today. So don't let those anxieties paralyze you. Focus on what you can control.
Which is, like what? What are some things we can control?
Well, we talked about a few key things. Reducing those investment fees, being smart about when you start taking your CPT and RRIF withdrawals, and considering the security of an annuity. Those 3 things alone can make a huge difference.
You really can. And remember, there's no one-size-fits-all approach.
Right.
So use the tools available, like that PRC tool we talked about, to figure out what works best for your situation, your goals, your dreams.
And here's a final thought to leave you with. Let's say down the road, things go even better than you planned.
Okay?
Your investments do amazing. Would you regret taking steps to create that extra security, or would you see that financial peace of mind as freedom? Freedom to enjoy your time, your money, without constantly worrying. It's something to think about.
That's a great question. Because at the end of the day, retirement should be about enjoying the fruits of your labor, right? It's about living your best life on your own terms. And I think the insights we've discussed today from Retirement Income for Life can really set you on the right path. So to our listener, dive into those resources, explore the PERT tool, and most importantly, don't be afraid to dream big.